All right, cool. So I find that it's better when I have an audience. So thank you
Yeah.
for listening.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
I'm all ready.
This is called You Don't Have to Carry the Torch Forever. Let Go the Illusion of Permanence. It just published today in a publication called Namaste Now. I love that publication. If you've never checked it out, it's on Medium.
Yeah.
Really great essays. It's a 4-minute read. I lit a torch and went running with it. Eventually, a crowd gathered around me. At one point, I handed the torch to a partner. She ran with it for a while, and I took a rest. Rejuvenated, I picked it back up. For 2 years, we ran, handing the torch back and forth to each other. Occasionally, we ran through crowded city streets with fans cheering us on. Sometimes we ran together. Other times we ran alone. Oftentimes I had it along dark stretches, the torch itself providing the only light of hope. Today I drop the torch. If no one picks it up, it's over, and that's okay. I'm a mentor for medical innovators, brilliant medical doctors, scientists, and engineers who have mind-boggling inventions with the promise to extend and improve the quality of life. The problem is, all too often, their breakthrough ideas never reach the market. Businesses fail, but that's not what I'm witnessing. They never reach the market because the company was never started. Failure to start is why great ideas remain ideas. I believe that the most significant barrier to getting going is not fear of failure, but rather fear of permanence. Throughout my life, I've been criticized for not finishing what I've started. Andrew, you could be somebody if you applied yourself. I'd like to say it never bothered me. It's more accurate to say it's never stopped me. I've never been deterred from being a founder. I've never feared trying something new, even if I knew that future failure would lead to more criticism. I let passion lead. That might be a call to learn piano. 10 years later, that baby grand might be collecting dust, but hopefully someone somewhere is playing it. It could be an unspoken desire, a feeling to make a habit out of writing. 2 years later, I'm composing a novella. This morning, I'm supposed to be writing a blog post for one of my startups. I'm writing this instead. I write what I'm passionate about. A year from now is anyone's guess. Turns out, as I look back on my life, I can say with some degree of self-righteousness or self-defense to the criticism that's got under my skin, take your opinion and shove it. That's not how I originally wrote it. I think the original draft was like, fuck you. Take your opinion and shove it. I've finished more than you've started. What does finishing mean anyway? Everything I've completed has been the start of something new. We call graduation commencement. Some people suffer through a degree they don't want, finish it, and then start something new. Other people, me, quit school early and started something new sooner. When it comes to business, it's like baseball. Players who step up to the plate go and sit back down 7 out of 10 times. The same stats apply to startups. Last year, CB Insights reported that roughly 70% of venture-backed startups fail. I think it's important to know the sport you're getting into. If it's the game of business, it is inherently one where failure is more probable than success. That's a good reason to choose never to play entrepreneurship. So what happens when a brilliant medical innovator thinks they are choosing between their stable career as a surgeon or a low odds of success startup? Why put your profession on the line for a bet with 30% odds of success? It's the illusion of permanence that causes paralysis. If what you're starting really matters, people will gather around you. Your passion for the project will be infectious. You will have lit the torch. When I light a torch, I know from the beginning that I won't be holding it forever. Whether I finish it or not, that torch will eventually flicker out or be passed on. Handing over a torch that I've lit is not something I've ever convinced or successfully convinced anyone else to do. Either someone with passion grabs it from my hand, or I run it to the finish line myself, or I drop it. Today I'm dropping one of my torches. It's still burning. If it goes out, that's okay. The 70% that weren't meant to be and the 30% that we call success have one thing in common. They all started. You don't have to carry the torch forever, just long enough to light the way. Light it with passion, hold it with conviction, and be willing to let it go. When the next torchbearer reaches to grab it, you'll know. Boom. What do you think? I want to see if I'm actually recording. Did I actually record? I am actually recording. That's good. That's good.
Go back to that again. Although, you read something the second time, it has a second meaning, You hear things you don't hear the first time.
What do you think? Any thoughts, questions?
My first thought was the difference between accomplishment and finishing. Is there any difference? I'm sure there is, but that was one thought that came to mind. The difference between accomplishment and finishing.
Difference between accomplishment and finishing. Yeah, that's a great.
And then, why do some people? I'm thinking about my brother, he starts probably 10 books a month and doesn't finish with maybe 2 or 3 of them. Probably 30%, the same type of entrepreneur thing. And I'm just and he's always been that guy, like, he's great at starting but not finishing. And why do we put us, why does society, I feel, oh, he doesn't finish anything, goddammit, that, or like, what is, and is that why does that have negative connotations? Now, I get if, like, if you're building a house and you can finish it, like, there's that, but, like, and I'm so trying to get in his mind or people's minds who start things and don't finish it, like, is it a good thing? And there's still great qualities in starting. Like, starting is generally a harder thing than finishing. It takes, stepping through fear, planning, all the things, passion, getting to start something. That's a harder. And then I begin to think that while people start things, the thrill of a start.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's exciting.
It's
yeah,
exciting.
And that can be a component of it, and that in itself is validation.
Yeah,
like starting it is a thrill. Like, I like to start things. It's fun and it's
Yeah.
exhilarating, and it's all those nuances to go about it. And and that's in. And starting is like I always tell people when I talk to people, I give these talks around town. Like, what's the only way you can get to 50 push-ups?
Start. Do one.
Do one. Like I said, starting is such a critical. Like just when you gotta try to, one bite at a time, the elephant, that type thing.
Yeah.
But it's just a cinch, type mentality. And like starting is, a lot of people don't because the fear of commitment. How would you say of finishing?
Permanence. The fear of permanence.
Yeah.
I feel like. Let's go to this book. Your brother in the books, right? I think that's really interesting. Like, what if you felt that if you started to read a book, you just had to finish it? Like, that was.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, The Wire, all that. I won't watch them.
Yeah, because you feel like
I have to finish them.
I have to finish
Yeah,
them, right?
and I don't do it because I'm like, I don't. And they say, well, you didn't watch that. You didn't see it. I was like, I don't fucking watch because I feel like I gotta fucking finish them.
Yeah, that's like, it's what I call this as a fear of permanence. It's also the opposite of non-attachment. Like this idea that you don't have to be attached to things forever. But let's say your brother. The question is, how many books does he finish?
A ton,
right? So it might be that, I'm going to make up numbers, but let's say you read 5 books a year,
mm-hmm.
and he reads 20 books a year. Mm-hmm. I'm making it up.
Mm-hmm.
But the focus is on, man, you only finish 3 out of every 10 books you start, right? You can't finish a book, right? Man, you can't finish a book. 70% of the books you start, you can't finish.
Yeah.
But when the reality is,
he's still reading.
He's reading way more than you're reading,
yeah.
And he's trying things out. And when he decides he doesn't like them, he's like, I don't like this anymore. So he just stops.
And like, what's the consequence?
Yeah,
it's like
what's
the only consequence is like I don't get to hear what they're having to this boring story that I put it down because I think it's boring, or I don't like this main character, or I don't like the prose.
Yeah,
and like it's entertainment, so it's like I'm putting the fucking thing down.
Yeah,
I don't have to.
Now, I mean, it's.
But I, on the other hand, I have like, to me, and this is a flaw of mine, or what a character defect, whatever you call it. Like I
You're in. You have to take it to the finish line.
Yeah.
And how many years did you stay at your last company?
Yeah. 18. So I've got to stick this out. And there is also downside.
Yeah.
Not more specifically there, but I'll go through great pains to finish things when it really is simple. Not some of that's just a stubborn gene.
Yeah, when you think about it from the entrepreneurial perspective, what I try to figure out is entrepreneurship's a team sport, right? And one of the best stories that I've heard from entrepreneur mentor long time ago. I don't know how often this is used, but it's about, hey, a good entrepreneur, a good leader knows how to take a plane up off the ground. Mm-hmm. They know how to get it off the ground. Mm-hmm. But then they're also humble enough to know when it's time to get in the co-pilot seat and let another pilot take over. Mm-hmm. They're capable of rolling up their sleeves and saying, maybe I should just go back and help serve some drinks and snacks to the people on this plane, Yeah. Maybe I trust the current leadership and I can actually just sit down and be a passenger.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. And maybe there's a point where I should just actually put on a parachute and jump out of this plane. Mm-hmm. It's time to leave. Mm-hmm. Right? And so, one of the things, especially I think some of the people that I'm speaking to when I'm writing this, part of it is to myself because I literally am in the process of dropping a torch right now. But who I'm writing this to are these medical innovators, these doctors, these researchers who. These are committed people, right? These are people that are in their careers they're all in, right? Yeah. And so this idea that being the founder of a company feels so permanent. However, it's like, imagine me trying to convince you to start the business versus me starting the business and you being so infected by it that you're like, I want to be part of this thing. And suddenly you have people around you. And then you don't have to give up your career as a professor or as a doctor, because at some point there's somebody next to you that is just wants to grab that torch out of your hand. And it's like, good, because I would like to continue my career as a surgeon. Mm-hmm. So thank you, and hand over that torch, right? So the idea that if you can be non-attached to it, you can get it going and build momentum. And it tells you a lot, right? It tells you a lot if is there a market there? Do people care? Right? Because maybe you start it and nobody comes to grab that torch, right? Maybe that's a good time to put down that book, start reading another one.
So there's a whole class of people out there who are just starters.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Even the fact that I'm saying that's okay tells people who are listening that like I have this thing in my brain, like these are subnormal people, the suboptimal people. They're not complete, that's telling you itself. That just tells you that peaks in my brain. That like
that's a good. Actually, let me think. So sometimes I'm one of those people that is a starter. Mm-hmm. I start and I start and I start things. But there are cases where I have finished, whatever you want to call finish, finished the PhD, ran the company all the way to the point of an acquisition. Mm-hmm. And this is also the funny thing. It's like, is that finished when it gets acquired and now another company is...
It's a chapter.
Right, it's a chapter. So I've finished a chapter, so at the end of the day, there are times when I, as the very comfortable starter, have done the uncomfortable and taken it all the way to what would be considered a successful finish, right? I don't like it. It's not my favorite part. If I can choose not to do that, I would love to have a partner that comes in and takes the torch. My favorite is when the torch gets handed off. But I've shown capability of finishing. And I think maybe that's what I'm asking of maybe folks more like yourself that are so used to finishing, to sometimes if you've got an idea for a thing, you might have to get uncomfortable and be the one to start it, because no one else is going to start it.
Or more importantly, be uncomfortable and let it go after it started, which is more of a discomfort for me.
Right.
Let it go when it started. I can start.
Yeah.
But you're saying that it's uncomfortable to start it knowing I won't complete.
Knowing I won't complete. Know before you start. Like, I'm about to start something that I know I'm going to let go, whether it's successfully to someone who takes that torch from me, or when if you don't start it, the torch never gets lit, right? So it's an option to light the torch and drop it, or light the torch and hand it to somebody. But knowing that you're gonna let it go before you start it, and this is the way to a potentially successful endeavor.
I wonder what the correlation between people who are great starters and not finishers are, and the quality of like I can take things very personal. And so like to me, it's like it is of me, it's part of me. And like, oh my gosh, so then I have to give up ultimate control. Yeah. Which is, you asked my wife, she's like, oh nice, massive control freak. Yeah. Things have to be away. So if it's of me, which my doing, then I have an ownership in it. Yeah. And so what you're really asking is like for me to give up ownership of something. Yeah, absolutely. And really, who knows what? Realistically, but versus playing a role. Yeah. Yeah. But like that goes back to what you're saying about team player, which is I hadn't thought about that. That's a unique perspective.
Well, it's also really highly dependent on what we're talking entrepreneurship here. So one of the things I'll say to folks that are getting in, thinking about entrepreneurship or going in this realm, it's like if you want to start something and control it,
same for you.
Or it's a different kind of business. Like you can start a bike shop, and you can run that bike shop for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. Like that's okay. So there's types of businesses that you can start. That there is an option to be the person who, you want to start a small business that has maybe up to 20 employees. You're not taking any investment dollars. There's no ROI. There's no, there's
kind of a simpler model.
It's a simpler business model. Yeah. It's perfectly acceptable to be all in on something like that.
But if you're merging medical, science, math, money, then it's like, who the hell can do all that?
No single person is going to get
finance.
No single person is getting a medical device to the market, right? And then it costs so much to get it to the market that you're going to have to raise money. So there's absolutely going to be a loss of control when that money gets raised, right? And so, here's a situation where you're guaranteed to be losing that control. And so now it gets really uncomfortable, right? Like, I'm starting something where as soon as they're
going to put you out of pasture.
Yeah, you know it's going to happen. But it's also just like kind of playing down just getting to the finish line and looking back. I've got multiple startups through my life, right? And some of them more successful than others. But there's no way that I could be in control of them all. Right? It's almost like this. Yeah, I'm not in the business of starting that bike shop. That I'm just going to be the one person that's going to run it for the rest of my life. So, if there's a track record of multiple startups, that's also a track record of letting go. And that's also a track record of starting. Mm-hmm. Oh, you asked about the makeup of a team. I think when you're playing in that world, right? When you're playing in the world of changes in control are inherent to the business model, right? Then every one of those types of leaders has to be involved through the journey, right? There has to be the starter, right? The one who's passionate, the founder story, right? But then at some point they're out over their skis on, I don't really know enough about business to even raise the first dollar. So now someone has to be that next CEO that can raise the seed round. But then typically what happens is they get out over their skis because you got to raise a larger venture round, and that venture round is going to require a different kind of a leader. And then you might get to a point at where you're in a growth stage where we're going from 50 employees to 500 employees, and that's a whole nother kind of leader, right? And then what if it's going to go for a public offering? Like, holy shit, that might be a whole nother kind of leader, right? So when you look at these are unicorn companies when you see founders and they're the CEO. Like, you can name these people, the handful of people that have gone from start to like they're still the face of the company.
Not many of them.
The fact that you can name them makes them unicorns. It's super strange. So most typically I see successful growth companies in the tech space where each one of those characters has been in holding the torch throughout the journey. That's why it's like that's why the whole metaphor of the torch, just handing that torch over. And it's a combination of grabbing it with passion, whether you're the first person to light it, you're grabbing it, you want it. You're not trying to give it to other people. Like, somebody's got to grab it, and the person holding it has to also be ready, willing, and able to let it go. So it's like those changes in leadership, those changes in control really need to go pretty smoothly. And each one is a symbol of where maybe the business shouldn't have failed or should have failed, right? I think in some cases it's like you light the torch and you're running with it, and it's like, yeah, nobody wants to grab the torch. And that might be just a sign, like maybe this just was the 70% that wasn't going to make it. Like maybe this is the book that I shouldn't necessarily work. Nobody's grabbing the torch. Nobody's, I don't need to feel like I have to finish this thing all on my own. I can put it down. It's okay. It might go out. Just get ready to light the next one.
Well, a lot of it goes back to the definition of like success and what allowance you'll give yourself.
Yeah.
I don't like, for me to run everything to conclusion or finality. I ran for 30-something years of my life like that, and then eventually to have some would call it just a change of perception or a spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it, to go, oh my God, I don't have to do that anymore. Like there's another way.
Yeah.
You mean I can actually put this down? So there's this massive sense of relief just to go, I'm good. And then there are times and places that I think bringing something to conclusion is wonderful. If you run 25 and a half miles of a marathon and you can't finish it, you'd be pretty upset, right? So there's some achievement or accomplishment.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I was a kid, I had this summertime job of cutting grass, and I mowed all these guys' grass, and the T-Taylor down on White Road, I cut his grass. He had a massive yard, and I came, the lawnmower came out with 2 strips to go, and it was the front 2 strips of the house. And I was like mortified. I was livid, but I couldn't finish. It wasn't because, it would look bad, but I had a full 10-hour day of mowing, and like those last 2 strips were done. And I remember you ever heard the term lawnmower mad? When the lawnmower won't start, and you just keep.
Yeah, just.
Well, eventually, the lawnmower took flight. I was so upset, but it's just because it was me realizing I couldn't come to an end. But so imagine living that way for years, and finally going, you know what? I'll just take it to the mechanic, and we'll get it back. We'll get it done in a couple of days. That's a perfectly acceptable solution. That's a reasonable solution.
Yeah.
But I think some people are so tightly wound, including myself for many years, on you got to finish, you got to do the thing, steadfast, hold it, don't give up. And I think that's fine in some instances, but also it's ultimately probably damaging. If you're too wound up on it, and you can't see what a benefit an alternative solution might be.
Yeah.
Or passing the torch might be. It's I think there's strengths on both sides. I think it's to be a great starter, and that's your role, to start. I was thinking metaphorically, when people build a house, there are some people that only lay foundation, and they're the best foundation people out there, or footings.
Yeah.
And they start a house metaphor is one of them, because there's all sorts of layers to it. But the foundation people, they're there for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it is. They put the foundation in, and it's just without a true foundation, a faulty foundation, you got nothing. So that's the most important part of the whole thing. That's the start.
Yeah.
And then it goes to the framers, and then it comes to the finishers and the CAD people, and then designers and all the aesthetics. So it takes this orchestrated thing, and that relativity between a foundation builder and a starter, I think, is relevant.
Yeah.
And everybody's sitting there going, those foundation people suck. They can't build a house.
Yeah.
They're the glue of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So those people, it's I say this people, but that's their gig. They ride around and a couple things. They say, we're the foundation guys.
Yeah. So in real estate, would there ever be a situation where this is your business, a property, piece of land is identified, it's laid out. Foundation folks come in, they pour just a couple of foundations, and then the finance team or whatever, the business people are like, now this is not happening, like this neighborhood's not gonna happen, we're gonna cancel this one. And so then it's a plot of land with some foundations just sitting there because that project failed, right? Have you ever seen anything like that in your career?
I have an easier metaphor for me would be like if you're building a shopping center and like, hey, look, let's say you got a Harris Teeter just going in and $10 or $20 worth of shops, and like all of a sudden Harris Teeter opens and the sales are real soft. And they're like, man, and all of a sudden you misread the demographics and you're like, man, this is not a Harris Teeter category, this is a Carly C's category. This is, or vice versa. Like, there are some developments you get into and over time, or you get into something 5 years in, a competing property opens up and they're just taking the wins out of show and they're eating your lunch. Like, what do you do? I mean, you can sit there and just keep clipping coupons and suffer and fail, or you can, hey, maybe does this need to be a medical plaza? Or, do we, or is this ultimately just like, raised and is this a multifamily site? There are those type of things that happen.
Yeah.
Through economic cycles and all the variables. But generally, if those things die, they're going to die in its infancy before you break ground. And it'll be either through finance or pre-leasing or just there are several layers of indicators along the way that like this is going to work or not.
Yeah.
And so typically before when it comes to the ground, the good news is when you come to the ground 9%. I wouldn't say 9%, but there's a very strong percentage you're going to succeed. It's going to get completed open. It may not perform well down the line or initially, but it's that's probably when this vertical is going. Yeah. Now, having said that, downtown Raleigh, there's a lot of towers that have been built, and they were all planned and designed pre-COVID, before the great office, awakening, if you will, before people started doing hybrid and all that. And so they're all built with, there's some residential in there, there's some retail going on forward, but then there's 6, 8, 10 stories of office in the middle that are probably running about 10% occupancy right now, and that's no bueno. Yeah. And so what do? Like, oh God, we just stick to the thing? Do we lower our rates? Like, what's the solution? So a lot of them are in that field right now, trying to figure out how do we adapt. I mean, I think the word that keeps going to mind with what your story is like nimbleness and flexibility is so critical to our story. Not being tied so closely to things, not being so clenched is a word I use. When you're clenched, you ain't good for shit. But if you're relaxed and able to have the open-mindedness to be able to pivot or be nimble or figure out alternative paths to a new solution that's hadn't been identified yet, to be able to seek for a solution is critical. So I mean, I think that's a really good example of like, oh my gosh, this is not working. What are we going to do? And those guys are still struggling with that answer. Is it, do we go residential or do we do, turn them all back into different residential, or how do we figure it out? That's a very relevant and pertinent example. Yeah, love it. But some of those guys are tied to the dollar they have, like in those loan docs. I'm sure it's like this will be this, and they can't change them. And although the banks are now starting, and the lending institutions are starting to realize, hey, look, we're all going to take a bath here unless we figure something out. Yeah. But the bigger win would be to not break ground, like cancel the project before you put that money in, right? So like that's. You come on the ground, people owe money, and it gets fit real quick. Right. So it's better. It's better to cancel a project before that big money's going in and that effort. Before the construction. And so I think this is maybe part of it too. Part of this story too is that
nothing is ever going to get built if no one lights any torch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a win to snuff it out sooner than later, right? Start the TV show, watch. It's one thing to like watch 1 or 2 episodes and be like, you know what, I don't like this shit. It's another thing to watch like a whole season.
3 seasons. This sucked. I shouldn't have done it. I told you. Yeah. This is why I don't do this. But like it's the freedom to bail.
The freedom to bail
is let's put a bumper to the freedom to bail. But like that's why everywhere I go I drive, so I can get the hell out of there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean everywhere I go I have them like, you will not find me anywhere without an exit.
The freedom to bail.
Yeah, Irish goodbye or not, like I'm out. Like when I'm ready to roll, I'm gonna roll. So why is it I don't apply that to other areas of my life? I don't know, but like it's hard to. Yeah, it's.
I love that. I could retitle the story, "The Freedom to Bail."
Yeah, freedom to bail. Yeah. It's what I mean. It's and nobody's. Usually, when people bail, they're kind of happy about it.
Yeah.
They got to get to a certain amount of disgust before they bail.
Yeah.
But like bailing is always essentially we bail. Like how many times you use the word bail when you were like totally pissed? Like you were pissed, but when you bail, you're actually happy because you're like, we were out of there.
Right. It's associated with a negative, right?
Yeah.
But I find that
bailing or releasing the torch is the same thing.
Yeah. Letting the torch go, ending the relationship before you invest way too. It's like go on a couple of dates with somebody, and it's like,
no, this ain't working. I'm bailing.
Yeah.
I'm bailing you out.
Yeah, that's a win. That's like, dropping the torch, bailing out, having a plan to bail because I'm gonna drive.
Surrender to win.
Yeah.
And that whole deal. Like just get out of there, man.
Yeah, it can be a positive. It can be put into the light of a positive.
There's a great saying that my former boss used to say: "Don't worry about the cheese, just get me out of the trap." You can have the cheese, just get me out of this damn trap. Yeah, which is at some point the same realization when you're right before you're bailing, you're like, I'm out. Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's wrap this up. You want to do this again with me sometime? This
Absolutely,
was fun.
Yes, fun.
All right, cool. I'm gonna stop recording. This was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.